Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to create these really cute beach shorts that's just perfect for summer. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our yarn. For this you'll need 2 skeins as well as a 4mm crochet hook. I'll leave a link in the description box on where you can get this yarn as well. So we're going to go ahead and start by making a slip knot. And you can do this in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Now I'm gonna start by making my waistband for the shorts, and we're going to start by making 7 chain stitches. To make our first chain, you want to yarn over and pull through for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I'm going to skip that first chain stitch, which is right here, and in the stitch right beside it I'm going to insert my hook, pulling through a loop and pulling that through the loop already on the hook. So that's 1, 2. So again, you insert your hook through the chain, pull through a loop, and pull that through the loop already on your hook. Now by the end of this row I should have 6 slip stitches in total. And each and every row going forward for our waistband will use 6 slip stitches in each row. Now for our next row, chain 1 and turn your work. We're gonna locate our first stitch, which is right here. Insert your hook under the stitch like that and pull through a loop, and then pull that through the loop on your hook, and we're going to continue that going all the way down. So this is the second stitch, or third, or fourth, or fifth, and or 6th stitch. Now once you've done your 6 stitches, chain 1, turn your work, and then you're going to repeat what you just did in the next row. So insert your hook under the stitch like that, yarn over and pull through, and then pull that through the loop on your hook. Now go ahead and continue the pattern until you have 82 rows in total. That will give you enough room for a small in the size of this short. So if you're not a small, if you're smaller than that, or if you're a little larger, you can go ahead and add more chains or less depending on what works for your body type. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and continue until I've done 82 rows in total. Now this is what your work should look like. Now it may look a little small at this point, but just a reminder that we're using slip stitches, so this is actually very stretchy, like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to close out the round. Now I'm going to chain 1 and taking the other end, I'm just going to go ahead and place those together. Now on each side, we're going to work in each stitch going all the way down, doing 6 slip stitches going all the way down. So here, and I'm going to insert my hook under the stitch here as well, pulling through a loop and completing the slip stitch. And we're going to do that in each stitch, again going all the way down. So again, we go from both sides. On this side, this stitch here, and we continue that until we've done 6 stitches in total. Now at at this point, I am going to be pulling on my work because I do want the stretch here to be loosened a bit before we continue into the next round. After doing that, this is how big our waistband is. Now we're going to be doing single crochets going all the way around. And to do a single crochet on your work is fairly simple. I'm going to start here where I'll insert my hook and pull up a loop. And with 2 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull through both loops. Now, right where you see the ridge here, that ribbing pattern coming through, I'm going to put a single crochet right above it. That's our second stitch of the row. I'm going to be placing a marker on that stitch because that's where we'll be closing out the round. And then I'm going to continue doing my single crochets going all the way around. Now, as it relates to the placement for my single crochets, I'm going to do 1 in between the ribbing, so right here. And where we have this ridge or this rib-like pattern, we're going to do a single crochet right above it. So 1 goes in between. Where you see this line here, we do 1 right above that. And we're just going to continue doing our single crochets this way, going all the way around. Now, once you get to your final stitch and you're at the end of the row, you should have 82 stitches in total going all the way around. And then I'm going to remove my marker, which was placed on the second single crochet of the round. I'm going to insert my hook through the back of that stitch. So just like this, I'm going to hook my loop to it and I'm going to pull that through. Now we're going to go ahead and start with the pattern for the round. But before we do that, I'm going to place markers to the sides of my work. So right here, I'm going to use this as the first side. So taking another marker, I'm going to place it on this stitch. And the corresponding stitch on the other side, which would fall here. Now I'm placing markers on each side because this is where we'll do our increases. For our waistband, this is fine, but for our hips and our buttocks area, we want to add some increases so that there will be space for that because naturally there is a curve. So for me, for this particular project, I'll be working in sections of 5. So for the next 5 rows, I'll be doing those in the exact same way. But let me go ahead and show you how to do the stitch pattern for the next 5 rows. Now the stitch pattern for the shorts, it's very simple at this stage. We're going to be working in half double crochets and a chain 1 stitch. So yarn over, I'm going to insert my hook under my first stitch, pulling up a loop, and with 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's a half double crochet stitch. Now chain 1. And we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the stitch beside it we do a half double crochet stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook under the stitch and pull up a loop, and with 3 loops on the hook we yarn over and pull the yarn through all 3 loops. Now I'll also be placing my marker on the chain 1 stitch because this is where we'll be closing out our round. Now that's going to be the pattern going all the way up to the point of our first marker, whereby we chain one, skip the stitch beside it, and then in the stitch right after, we do a half double crochet stitch. So chain one, skip this stitch here, and in the stitch beside it, we do our half double crochet stitch. So that is fairly simple. Please go ahead and continue the pattern until we get to our first marker, which is right here. So I've done my chain one stitch, and now I'm at the stitch where I have my marker. And where we have our marker is where we'll do an increase stitch. So I'll show you how to do that. You want to remove your marker, and then in that stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet and chain one. And in that same stitch, we're going to do another half double crochet, and this will count as an increase. I'll also place my marker back in between so that I know where to drop my increases, and this is where we'll do our increase stitch until we have 5 rows in total of the pattern here. So after that, we just do the pattern as normal, whereby we chain one, skip the stitch beside it, and we do a half double crochet, and we're going to continue this going all the way around until we get to our next marker, which is over here. And at this point, we will add another increase. So I've just done my chain one stitch here, and we're at our other marker, so we're due for another increase. And again, to do our increase stitch, we start by doing our half double crochet inside the stitch like this, and then we chain one, and inside that same stitch we'll do another half double crochet. I'm gonna place my marker right in between on the chain one stitch so that we can know where to place or increase stitches. And then this right here will be the last stitch of the round. So I will be chaining one. I will not be working a half double crochet stitch inside the stitch, and then I'm going to close out the round. I'm going to close out the round in a similar way to how I closed out the last round, whereby I'm going to insert my hook under the chain one stitch. So you'll see my chain one stitch here. I'm going to insert my hook under the chain one stitch like that. So you see? Hook my loop to it. And of course, we're going to pull that through. Now this will create sort of a mesh-like pattern where the chain one stitch will create these little holes where you see me poking my finger. Now inside those holes or spaces, we'll be working our half double crochets going forward, and then we'll be doing our chain one stitch. So yarn over for your first half double crochet will always be done like this, whereby you yarn over, insert your hook under, pull up a loop, and with 3 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's our first stitch, and then we chain one, and in the next space, which is here, we do another half double crochet stitch. Of course, I'll be placing my marker in this space here, so on this chain one stitch, because that's where we'll be closing out our round going forward. We chain one, and of course we're going to continue the pattern until we get to one of our markers where we'll add an increase to the stitch. So you can go ahead and continue doing a half double crochet, chain one, in the space we do a half double crochet, chain one, in the space we do a half double crochet. That's the pattern. Continue that going all the way around until you get to our marker here. Now of course, when we get to our marker, we're going to remove the marker, but in this stitch we're going to do another increase right inside. So I need to chain one. Inside the stitch I'll do my half double crochet, and then I'm going to chain one and do a half double crochet inside the stitch, chain one, and then continue the pattern as normal. Of course, where we had our increase stitch, which is right here, I'm going to place my marker back on top of that stitch so that I know where to place my increases. And then of course I'm going to continue the pattern going all around, and then repeat what I just did here in my increased stitch on this side. Now once you get to your other marker where we should have our increase stitch, we do that just as we did the last one. So you need to do your chain one stitch, and inside the space we do our half double crochet, and then we're going to chain one and do another half double crochet inside that same stitch. And I'm going to place my marker back on that in the middle there, and just note that for the next 3 rounds we'll be doing each row in exactly the same way. So we should have 5 rows in total that are exactly the same. Now chain one, space here, we're going to do our half double crochet, chain one, and then of course we're going to close out the round in exactly the same way we did the last, whereby on that chain one stitch there we're going to insert our hook under, hook or loop to it and pull it through, and then we'll do a half double crochet inside the stitch. So you want to yarn over and then insert your hook through the stitch and pull up a loop. With 3 loops on the hook, you pull it all the way through, chain one and do a half double crochet in the next space. Of course I'm going to place my marker on that, and then we just continue that going all the way around. So again, we'll be doing the next 3 rows in the exact same way we did the last 2, so you can go ahead and complete the pattern until you have 5 rows total. Now I just completed my 5th row of this pattern, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and do my next 2 stitches before I show you how to continue your work. So yarn over and insert your hook under, pulling up a loop, and then we pull that through for a half double crochet, chain one, and half double crochet into our next space, and then I'll just place my marker back there so that I know where to close my round out. Okay, so previously we would have been doing our increases to the sides of our work, so on this side as well as on this side, and this is what my work is looking like. You can see as well that to the sides our work, it's expanding to accommodate that curve for our hips and our buttocks. Now I don't like keeping my increases in the same place throughout my work, and that's because it will look like this. It will have this very obvious curve here, and I don't want to keep that throughout my work until I get to the end. So I change a placement for my increases after every 5 rows. At this point, I would like to change the placement of my increases to the back of my work. I'm gonna keep this as the front, and here I'll keep this as the back of my work. Now I've gone ahead and placed 2 markers to the back, so we have one here and one here. Both are 17 spaces away from the marker that's to our sides, so I have 17 stitches in between this marker and this, 17 spaces for this marker to the side, going all the way to here. Now, going forward, I will be doing the exact same pattern. However, my increases will no longer fall to the side. They will only be done where we have our new markers. So I'm going to demonstrate what I mean. Now, the increase actually falls in the next stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 and remove my marker, and then do an increased stitch. So I will be yarning over and pulling up a loop with 3 loops on the hook. We pull through all 3 for my half double crochet, chain 1, and then do another half double crochet inside that same space. And then we pretty much add back the marker where we would have done the increase, because I'm going to place my increases in this place for 5 rows. So chain 1, and then I'm going to continue the pattern, of course, until I get to my next increased stitch. Now, this is where my marker is for my next increased stitch, so I'm going to remove it. And in that space, I will do two stitches for the increase. So my first half double crochet, chain 1, and in that same space, I'll do another half double crochet, place my marker in between, chain 1, and now we continue the pattern. Now there will be no more increases in this entire row, including where our stitch is to the side here. Now when we get to our marker, I'm going to remove the marker, and on that stitch I will only be doing 1 half double crochet and chain, and in the next stitch I will not be doing an increase. I'm moving straight to the next stitch where I'll do another half double crochet. Now at this point I will place my marker back on this stitch, because I will eventually add increases to my sides, but that will happen after I complete 5 rows of the pattern, placing my increases to the back. Going forward for the next 5 rows on both sides, we'll only be doing 1 half double crochet. So you can go ahead and continue the pattern for 5 rows. The way we close out the round will remain the same. Now this is what it looks like after completing the additional 5 rows. You'll see the clear indents here for the increases that I would have done in the back. And now I'm going to remove those markers, because I'll no longer be doing any increases in the back at all going forward. Now for the next 5 rows, so that's where we would have 15 rows in total of this pattern. For the next 5 rows, I'll be replacing the increased stitch back to the side, so that's why I left the markers on, so that I will know where to identify my side stitches. So for the next 5 rows, you can go ahead and complete the pattern, and instead of doing the increases to the back here, we'll no longer be doing any increases at these points. We're going to go ahead and do 5 increases to our sides here. Now I went ahead and completed the additional 5 rows. If you look to the side here, you can see where I have my increases. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side, and on this side we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 15 rows in total now of the pattern. right? Now going forward, we will no longer be adding any increases at all. Of course, depending on your body size, you may go ahead and add a few more increases, or you can add less. It really depends. For me, I'm not going to be adding any additional increases at this point. I will do 5 more rows that has no increases at all. So I'm going to start my row in the exact same way with my half double crochet and chain 1 stitch. Of course, placing back my marker on so that I know where to close out the round. And then this is literally the pattern that you will create. No increases at all, just your half double crochet and chain 1 stitch going all the way around, and then we complete that for 5 rows. Now after completing a total of 20 rows of the pattern, this is where I'm going to stop. The amount of rows you do will also dictate how short your shorts are. So if you'd like it to be shorter, you can do less rows at this point. If you'd like it longer, you can add a few more rows here. But I'm just gonna go ahead and close out the round for good, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So first you want to chain 1, and then you're gonna make this loop here larger, and then you're going to cut your yarn. This should be done on your last stitch of the row. Now pull it all the way through, just like that, and then you're going to remove your marker. Just as you've been doing, insert your hook from the back of the stitch, and then you're going to hook the yarn to the hook and pull it through. Now to the very back of the stitch, so that's right here, go ahead and insert your hook all the way under, so like that. We're going to yarn over and pull it through. And you can pull on the yarn as well to adjust the size. But now it appears as all the other stitches. Of course, you can go ahead and weave in your ends to the back. Now, once you're complete, you want to go ahead and separate your work into 4 equal sections. I do my count from each side. So for me, I have 136 stitches in total, and I've broken them into 34 stitches on for each section. So we have from here to here, we have 34, from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here. You will have to go ahead and do a count for your work. My recommendation would be to mark out the sides of your work first, so the extreme sides, and then you can count the number of stitches right in between on both sides, and you can use that count to do an equal separation. Now, once you figured out where to place your markers, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create your first leg. Now, you want to remove your marker on the middle stitch, and then pull through a loop and chain 1. Now I'm actually going to make 6 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the other side, which is here, I'm going to remove my marker and do a slip stitch on that stitch. So I'm just gonna insert my hook so that I know where. And then you can just pull through to complete your slip stitch. Now once that's done, you want to chain 1 and you're going to turn your work. Now it's important to note that at this stage we'll be working at one leg at a time, and the pattern remains the same, whereby we start with a half double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over and insert inside the chain, pulling up a loop and completing my half double crochet, chain 1, and then I'll skip the next chain and go straight to the chain beside it, completing another half double crochet. Chain 1, skip the next chain, and in the chain beside it we do a half double crochet, chain 1, skip the next chain, and of course in the final chain, which is here, we're going to do our half double crochet stitch, chain 1, and now we resume our work on the regular pattern. So I'm going to go to the next space, which for me falls right here, whereby I'll do a half double crochet stitch, chain 1, and I'm just going to continue this going all the way around. Chain 1, half double crochet. All right, now I'm going to place my marker on that first space, so right here, because just as we've been doing, that's where you're going to close out the round. So this is going to be the pattern going all around, so you can continue that in each stitch going all around until we get back to our marker here. Now once we get to our very last stitch of the row, so you'll see it here for the leg, this is the very last stitch. I'm going to remove my marker, make this loop larger, and I'm going to close out the round as I normally would. Now once that's done, we complete the pattern as normal. So I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops for my half double crochet, chain 1, and complete a half double crochet in the space beside it, placing my marker on that first stitch, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to continue the pattern until I have 5 rows in total for my leg. You can go ahead and continue as well, and I'll see you when you have 5 rows in total. Okay, now once you've completed your 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to go ahead and switch up the pattern, whereby I will no longer have these spaces. I'm only going to be doing half double crochets going all around. So I'm going to close out the round as usual, and then I'm going to yarn over, but instead of doing my crochet inside the space, I'm going to do it under the stitch like that. Yarn over and pull it through for my first half double crochet, and I'm going to continue doing half double crochets going all around. So where I had a chain 1 stitch, I'm just going to go ahead and do a half double crochet stitch under, And I'm going to continue doing this again, going all the way around for my shorts. So this is, I'm going to actually end the leg with 2 rows of half double crochets going all around. This is the first. It's fairly simple to do. It's just that instead of doing that chain 1 stitch in each and every stitch, we do a half double crochet stitch, just like this. Now I'm gonna place my marker on the second stitch here. This is the first, this is the second, because that's where I'll be closing out the round as normal. So you can continue doing half double crochets going all the way around until we get to our final stitch. Now, after doing 2 rows of half double crochet, this is what your leg should look like. And this is actually where I'm also going to be closing out my round. And I'm going to do that in a similar way where I did before, where I'm going to cut the yarn. And then I'm going to pull it all the way through, remove my marker, insert my hook to the back of the stitch where the marker was and hook it to my hook, pulling it through. And then through the back bump, which is here, I'm just going to insert my hook and pull the yarn through as well, so that it now looks like all the other stitches. And then I'll weave the yarn through the stitches here in the back. So this is how one leg looks finished. Now we're going to go ahead and complete the other leg, and it's going to be done in exactly the same way that we would have done this leg. So I'll show you how to get started. If you need a refresher, you can go ahead and reverse this video to see how to continue, but I'm going to show you how to start. And then please note that it is going to be the exact same pattern going forward to complete this leg as well. Now we would have created the mesh-like pattern going around, and we would have skipped some stitches in the process of that. For this side, where we would have skipped one of our chains is where I'm actually going to go ahead and start. So I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up another loop and complete my half double crochet, chain 1, skip this stitch, and I'll only be working in the spaces going forward. So half double crochet stitch, and of course I'm going to go ahead and place my marker right here so that I know where to close out the round. It should be fairly simple going forward. So you just chain 1 where there's a space, you do a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, and or half double crochet, chain 1, and then we'll start here on our work. So right here we'll do our other half double crochet, and then we continue the pattern, of course, going all the way around. Now, as I said before, on this side it's going to be done in exactly the same way. So again, if you need a refresher, you can go ahead and reverse to see that, but go ahead and complete 5 rows of this mesh-like pattern. So that's the half double crochet with the chain 1, and then that's going to be followed by 2 rows of half double crochets only. So you can go ahead and continue that to finish up your work. In the end, this is how we're looking for my shorts. You'll see the half double crochets that we would have done to close out both sides of our leg. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the ties that goes to the side for our shirts as well. Now to add a pop of color, I will be using this yellow yarn, and you can go ahead and get started by making a slip knot, and you can do this in whichever way is most comfortable for you. And then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to pull up loops in our second and first chain stitch. So insert your hook inside the middle chain and pull up a loop. Now we're gonna leave that loop on the hook, insert our hook in our first chain and pull up another loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. Now you want to go ahead and pinch the bottom here with your thumb and forefinger. And you want to also tightly hold our first and second loop. And that's because we're going to release both from our hook. And we're only going to have the first loop on our hook, yarn over, and pull through the first. Now I'm going to reinsert that second loop on our hook, yarn over, and pull through that second loop only. Reinsert that first loop on our hook, yarn over, and pull through that first loop. And then we pretty much repeat. So holding it in place, release your first and second loop, and with the last loop on the hook, yarn over and pull through. Reinsert that second loop, yarn over and pull through, and then we reinsert that first loop, yarn over and pull through. And that's pretty much the pattern until your tie is as long as you'd like it to be. I'll do a few more rows. Now in the end, this is how your work will look. And you want to have 2 pieces, so 2 separate pieces that is, for your ties. Now this is the one that I was working on previously. I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to show you how to close out the round. However, you want to cut your yarn, and then you're going to yarn over and pull it all the way through, and then you're going to pull on it to tighten. Now insert your hook through the middle and taking your loose yarn there, the tail, you're just going to go ahead and pull that through. And then you can just go ahead and cut the ends on both sides. Now for the fun part, I'm going to go ahead and insert my work. You want to identify your first row of mesh-like stitches, so I'm going to start right here. And it's always start by inserting it to the inside of your work. And then a few spaces down, you want to go on the outside, and you continue this until you get to the other side of your work. Now you want to ensure that when you are finished, we have one end on this side, and on the other side we have the other. You can of course adjust it until they are equal in length. And then we do the same on this side with the other tie. Now in the end, this is how it looks. you can go ahead and make a knot or a bow on each side, and that's how you're pretty much done. Now this is the end of today's tutorial. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so as yet. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.